I'm Linda Powell and I teach pattern cutting at Morley College, and one of my biggest interests is the kind of patterns you can cut and garments you can make from simple shapes. The pattern we're going to cut today, you can see, is basically it's a rectangle with a shape cut through for the body to sit in, and it's a pair of open-sided trousers. I'm going to show you how to draft it and what body measurements you'll need to be able to be sure it fits you. Here is the rectangle of fabric as you saw it laid out on the workbench, and I'm now going to show you how it fits on the body. I put a label in one section to show which is the back because it's a slightly different shape, and this goes through the legs and ties on the front body, and then we pull through the other side, and now this can be tied onto the back like this. Right, now we need to take your body measurements. First thing is you need to know where your waist is. So what I suggest is that you tie a piece of elastic around your waist like this, because one measurement we need is the crotch depth or body rise. So once you've got the waist position, sit down on a hard surface and measure from the elastic down to the hard surface, and that gives you your body rise measurement. Okay, and now the other measurement you'll need is the hips, or the widest point of your body. Some people are heavier at the tops of the legs. Wherever is the widest point of your body, that's the measurement you'll need for the hips. And the other measurement you'll need is from the elastic demonstrating where the waist is down to the knee. Okay? The knee is just a fixed position. You can have it come down to the ankle. These can be made to the floor or they can be made short, but let's just have the waist to knee position as a starting point. Hi, now we're going to draft the open-sided trouser, and I've just laid it on the workbench so that you have a visual image of how the pattern is going to look. It's basically a rectangle with a shape through the middle where the body sits, and we've got ties to wrap it around the body. So if I put that to one side now, and I know the camera wants to home in on the measurements. These are the measurements I'm going to use. Standard size 12. You will use your own measurements, but here I've got hips 94 centimetres, body rise, which is your measurement from the waist down to the seat that we measured, 28 centimetres, and then the distance from the waist to the knee. Now these open-sided trousers can be cut any length, shorter than waist to knee, longer than waist to knee. We're just using the knee as a fixed point. Okay, let's put that aside, and now we start with the drafting. Now the first line, we're going to draw the outside edge, and I'm going to start in a bit so I've got space to do my scribbles at the side for measuring, and we just draw one line. Now to square across the line going the other way, remember in lesson 1 when we talked about the set square, this line, to get an absolute right angle, must cover the line you wish to square, and because we're drawing a much longer line, we butt the meter ruler up against it. So now we square across, and where these two lines cross, we're going to call A. Now B is somewhere along this line that I haven't measured yet, but these trousers, it's best to work from one edge to the other edge. So the next line that we need to represent the crotch, the space that the body sits in, we take the body rise measurement, in this case 28 centimetres, and we add another 2 centimetres because the design of these trousers is they hang loose through the body. So that extra 2 helps that. So we've got 28 plus 2, 30 centimetres. And I'm going to follow my handout for the letters. A to C now is 30 centimetres. And again, we square across here, push that along, cover the line. So we now have a line representing the top edge. Let's call it waistline. And a line representing the crotch here. And we need one more line parallel, which is the waist to knee. And in this instance, I'm going to do 58 centimetres from the waist. And as I said before, this finished length can be any length you choose in terms of the design. There we go. And this is your knee line. Right, and that is E in my handout. Right, now the first measurement now to find the shape for the body. This measurement, C to a position on the line called G, C to G equals a quarter of your hip, a quarter hip, and we've allowed 14 centimetres for the overlap. Now on this pattern we're saying that the hip is 94, so if I take 94, divide it by 4, 4's into 9 goes 2, remainder 1, 4's into 14 goes 3, remainder 2, 4's in, so it's 23.5 centimetres. Add 14 and we have 37.5 centimetres. So I'll measure from C 20, 30, 37.5, and we have the beginning of the divide here, so that is now G. G to H is exactly a quarter hip. A quarter hip we worked out at 23.5. 23.5. We square up again, and to get the other edge we need to do the same measurement as C to G, which is 37.5, and I'm going to need to lengthen the lines that I've drawn. So let's put that in, and then we'll lengthen this one and the knee line. I have to do that with this, I can't see properly. There. So now we will measure H to D, 37.5. 30. No, it's still not long enough. Nearly made the same mistake. 20, 30, 37.5, and we can square down. I'll fill the gaps in a minute. Cover the line exactly. There we go. So now we've got the basic rectangle, and we're now going to, right, let's put some letters in. So this becomes our B, A to B, the overall length. This is K, this is J, and what we're saying is this section represents the back, and I'm going to, from here to here is the back of the trouser. So this line here represents the centre back, and then this section represents the front part, and this line is the centre front. So now we're going to shape through. So what we need to do between G and K, do you remember when I said to find the halfway, if you put G and K on the same number, in this case it's K is on 15, G is on 15, there's the halfway, but because it's the back we're going to come up an extra centimetre to find Z, but on the front we're going to mark the exact centre. Right, for the crotch shaping, from this corner here we have 3.5, and from the back corner we have 4.5. Let's write that on. 4.5, 3.5. So now we're going to shape the line from G through, take the line round onto the crotch line. There's our front crotch, and then from the back we do exactly the same, but we're starting from a higher position. There we go, and that's it. That's done. Now to finish them as a complete pattern, what we need to do, we need to add seam allowances to be able to tidy the edges, and if we're happy to leave it at knee length, we need to add a hem, and we also need to add seam allowances at the top for the ties. Now the ties are, let me see what I decided the ties were. It's this measurement and this measurement plus, what did I do them? 25. So let's make the ties. I'm going to do the ties in red. We can do them the width of the ruler, like this, and that will include seam allowances for the ties. This is good enough, like that. So we need, this is 37.5, that's 37.5, that comes to 0, 15, 75, 175 plus 50, 125. So the length of the ties will finish it at 125 cm. Now for adding seam allowance everywhere else, we can do 1 centimetre at the top here. This doesn't exist, it's just a line we used. 1 centimetre at the top waist here. Now through the crotch, I prefer French seams, and for those of you that don't know what a French seam is, you can see here it's clean, no overlocking, and very comfortable on the body, but it needs a bigger seam allowance. So remember what I said about these parallel lines. We'll have 1.5 on the line we wish to make a seam allowance to here, and I'm going to follow round and add seam allowance on the crotch part. Here, and then when I cut it out, you'll see what it is. There we go. Because there's a curve, I have to keep moving the set square round, which we did in the exercise on in the first lesson. Okay, and let's put a seam allowance down the outside edge as well. 1 centimetre will be enough all the way down. And for the hem, we're going to do 2 centimetres, just because give it a bit of weight. The tie, by the way, includes centimetres, it's just the finished size. Here, like this. Right, I want to cut. Right. I want you to see how this cuts out, so that you're aware that this part of the pattern is cut away, and then we'll lay the finished open-sided trouser on top. There we go. Here we go. Now you can see the trouser as finished this way round. Because the shaping's different, I put a label in the back. There we go. So there's your pattern. Can you see? Oh, I've done these bigger. Doesn't matter. It's an open-sided trouser. There. I got a bit generous with the... There we go. There. You have your pattern. Please remember you cut 2. The pattern is joined through the crotch with a French seam. The rest is just hemmed separately, and then your tie. Once this is joined, you have a whole back, you have the tie, 1 tie for the back and 1 tie for the front. There we go. That's the point. Yeah, it's 125. Yeah, so you can see how, look, 1 tie goes on the back piece, yeah, and then you have a separate tie for the other side.